So a little bit about common ground processing. This is used for a group that is having trouble discussing a particular issue where there's two opposing viewpoints. And they get to a point where they're not really listening to what the other side is saying. Everyone is trying to get their point across and arguing back and forth, and there's just not listening going on. And this form of conflict resolution is not really to end with some kind of solution on what needs to be done, but rather it's the beginning step of listening in order to, in the future, be able to start conversating about solutions. So common ground steps. Basically, you start with generally 4 or more group members. If there's any more group members than that, they sit outside the circle. The 4 members are partnered up. One person has one viewpoint, the other has the opposing viewpoint. One partner is going to speak while the other one simply just listens to what that person is saying. And then once that person is finished, the second partner will paraphrase back to them what they heard them say and what they heard them feel, or what they think they were feeling. So the ground rules are everything that is discussed within the group and the exercise stays there. No one speaks over another person. Everyone lets each member have their chance to speak. While you're speaking, use respectful language and, no name calling. And you're really not there to argue with the other person, just to listen, to paraphrase.
Hi, I'm April, and I'm going to cover a brief outline of the collaborative model that was used during our conflict resolution scenario role play. The collaborative model is an intervention method used by social workers in either a group setting or one-on-one with their individual clients. It's broken down into 3 major phases of pre-engagement, engagement, and disengagement. In each of the phases, there are tasks the social worker use that have inputs, practice skills, and outputs to make this method most effective. In the pre-engagement phase, there is studying, asking, listening, and clarifying. In the engagement phase, there is articulating and preserving. And in the disengagement phase, there is solidifying gains made. So because the mediator in our role play scenario is focused primarily on the engagement phase of this model, I'm just going to briefly cover the first intervention task of articulating. So articulating is essentially the process of taking all of the information that was gathered during the pre-engagement phase and using that to identify the client's priorities, as well as develop measurable goals and a plan of action. The input skills in articulation involve hopefulness and partnership, which builds a foundation of trust between the client and social worker. The practice skills in articulation involve partializing, identifying options, sharing data, and seeking a consensus, which basically means that the social worker breaks down bigger problems into more manageable pieces, helps the client come up with options to solve these problems, shares information that the social worker feels would help the client, and comes to an agreement plan or contract with the client on what the goals are to be accomplished and how to work towards them together. And finally, the outputs involved in articulation are the goals of change, an action plan on how to achieve these goals, and an evaluation plan for assessing if the goals have been reached, all of which are used during our small groups conflict resolution role play.
My name is Stephanie. I'm going to introduce preserving tasks of collaborative model. So the definition of preserving tasks is action plan to accomplish goals within the plan. So an action plan is just a plan that you put forth that you're not going to just talk about and that you're actually going to do. So you're going to put goals that you're actually going to do and accomplish to reach whatever you put forth. Also, this description is persistent. So going to meetings often, making sure you go all the time to talk about your progress towards your goal. Punctual, make sure you're on time, you don't miss appointments or meetings, whatever scheduled, and completing the task. So you complete whatever you talked about in the meeting and making sure that whoever else is in the meeting completes what they also said that they would complete. So we want to make sure everyone's on the same page and doing everything that was set forth in the meeting. Some of the goals is support. So everyone needs support. You support them by helping them to accomplish goals, giving ideas, giving opinions, giving different strategies to help accomplish the goal. Expectations, you want to give expectations not too high. You want to give something that everyone can accomplish, so no one gets frustrated and then doesn't want to accomplish the goal. And you also want to stay committed. So you want to stay committed to the goal, committed to the meeting, committed to whatever you said you would do. And don't go back on your word, because that's where the goal could fall through, or the action plan could also fall through. Intervention skills in preserving tasks. These are the intervention skills in the preserving tasks. One of them are challenging, which I'm going to go more into that depth in the next slide, but it's illusion of work. So it's basically talking and no action behind the plan. So you're just talking about it in meetings, but you're not doing anything to actually accomplish the goal. The next intervention is maintaining focus. So it's staying focused on a goal. So it's just when you go through the changes or different things towards the goal, that you don't lose focus of what you're trying to accomplish. So you don't want to go off course and, not accomplish what was set forth in your meeting. The next intervention skill is checking for ambivalence. So checking for ambivalence is feelings about topics. So it's just, when you go through the changes and trying to accomplish the goal, you get mixed feelings. You don't know exactly how to feel about the topic. So it's just discussing in meetings about, how you feel, how you really truly feel about what's going on and trying to accomplish the goal. And then the last intervention is rehearsal. So acting out situations. So definitely very visual. So acting out situations, talking about a situation and actually playing it out and seeing how you will respond to the situation helps you when you actually go to do the real life situation. So all these interventions help in preserving tasks. So it's just something to take in when you have to use intervention skills. Intervention skill I'm going to focus on, which I talked a little bit about in the last slide, is challenging. So in challenging, there's the talking stage. So it's just talking about the things you want to change and what you want to accomplish in the goal, but not putting forth an effort. So actually moving towards the goal, actually putting an action behind what you're saying you're going to do, which could move towards confronting the progress toward the goal. So you want to just confront and see where the person is towards the goal. So you want to make sure that they're not talking about it and they're actually doing what they say they're going to do. The next thing you move into is strengthening the helping relationship. So this is all basically about helping someone. So you strengthen it by confronting them, by making sure that they're actually doing what they say they're going to do, and that you support them in that process, and also addressing concerns. So this challenging actually helps you to discuss some of the issues that they could bring up, like maybe why they aren't accomplishing the goal, why aren't they moving towards the action plan and just talking about it with you. So all of this can help move towards the goal and not just talk about the goal.
Maintaining focus is to not break concentration or to not stray away from a topic. That way, their mind won't wander. The purpose is it's important to be focused throughout the intervention and the meeting. Listening and communicating with coworkers and clients helps the conversation stay on track. It eliminates any outside factors that aren't related to the topic. And being focused on the topic is important because it shows everyone in the group what they should be talking about. When everyone is on the same page, they can voice their concerns and ideas. Checking for ambivalence. It means someone is having conflicting emotions about something. And it could also mean a person is neutral about an issue because they didn't choose a side. It could be being excited about an event or nervous about what will happen at the same time. During an intervention, it's important to be aware of everyone in the group. A person talking or listening may have conflicting feelings about a certain subject. The facilitator can ask each individual if they need more clarification in both the common ground and collaborative interventions. It gives each person the ability to say what is on their mind, but also to be clear about their feelings. When a person is conflicted, the group may become lost, unsure, or lose interest in the topic. And it's looking for how people react when a topic is discussed. It could be their facial features or any physical movement of uncertainty. This allows for the person who is uncomfortable to speak up or for an outside person to ask questions to possibly clarify their feelings or views before moving forward. In the rehearsal, each group member states their emotions and what they hope to accomplish. They share their ideas if there are barriers. They come to a consensus or agreement, and then they make positive changes that benefit everyone involved in the situation. Groups come together to share their knowledge and ideas in a particular area to make improvements on. They talk about where they are now, their voice in the present, where they would like to be, and how they would like to move forward, and what they need to get there, which may require future changes.